Today this video is going to go over your homework from last night, which was lesson 8. So for number 1, you were supposed to find the value of the ratio of shaded sections to unshaded sections. In the fraction assessment that we took, several people got a question similar to this wrong because they didn't read closely about shaded versus unshaded. So here the shaded sections are right here. There's 4 of them to 2 that are unshaded. So that ratio would have been 4 to 2, but we're looking for the value, which we know is a ratio as a fraction in simplest form. So if we start with 4 halves, divide both sides by 2 to get 2 over 1. If you got that, plus 1. If you simplified it further to just plain 2, I would also accept that as a plus 1. For number 2, you needed to take each of these ratios and find their values, or write them as a fraction in simplified form. So 21/45, we can divide both of those by 3, and we get 7/15. If you got 7/15, plus 1. For 14/45, we write it as a fraction. 14/45 don't have any common factors, so it simply stays 14/45. If you got that, plus 1. 3/5 also has no common factors, so the simplest form of that is 3/5. So the value of 3 to 5 would be 3/5 plus 1. For 63/135, I know a little trick that all numbers, multiples of 9, if you add them together, they equal 9. So like 63, 6 plus 3 equals 9. So I checked 135. 1 plus 3 is 4. 4 plus 5 is 9, so I knew I could divide both of them by 9. When I do that, I got 7/15 plus 1 if you got that. There was an additional part of the question that said circle the ratios that are equivalent to 7/15. Yesterday in our lesson, we learned that when the values are the same of ratios, they are also equivalent. So when the values of 21/45 and 63/135 was 7/15, we knew that those were equivalent to 7/15. And actually, now that I read it closer, it says circle the ratios, so hopefully you circled here and here. If you didn't, if you circled the values, I'm okay with that. But if you did some type of circling, that's worth an extra point to understand that those are the ones that were equivalent. Oops. Okay. So now, number 3, Sean was at batting practice. He swung 25 times, but only hit the ball 15 times. Write a part to whole ratio. So for this one, I did 15 to 25 because part of those swings he hit. All of them are the how many times he swung. That's the total. So I did 15 to 25, and then a description. That would be my hits to swings. If you wrote something like, for every 15 hits, he had swung 25 times, that would work as well. You could have also done, these could be in either order, so if you have them somewhere, that would work. So plus 1 here, plus 1 here. The other part to whole, if he hit the ball 15 times, what did he do on those other times? He would have missed the ball. So missing the ball would have been 10 times, because 10 plus 15 gets us the total swings. So if we had a ratio of 10 to 25, misses to swings, plus 1 and plus 1. If you wrote again down here, for every 10 misses, he had swung the bat 25 times, that would work as well. Something about misses and swings is what I'm looking for there. And then it says, what is the part-to-part ratio you could use? If you take his swings and you break them into the 2 different parts, it is hits to misses, or you could have done misses to hits. So either one of those. So you could have done 10 to 15 and then had misses to hits. So plus 1 for one of those ratios, and then make sure that the pink goes with the pink and the black goes with the black. If you had one of those, that's a plus 1. The description would be hits to misses, or if you were more specific and said for every 15 hits, he had 10 misses, that would work as well. So then it said, for each ratio you created, use the value of the ratio to express one quantity as a fraction of the other quantity. So that's just sitting there making that value again. This one was hits to swings. So number of hits, he had 15/25, or 3/5 of his swings were hits, 3/5 of the total number of swings. So I took that 1525 and simplified it to 3/5. Plus 1 if you got that. His number of hits to the number of misses. So again, I kind of go up here. This one was hits to misses, so that's 15/10. Simplified, divide both of them by 5, you get 3/2. So the number of hits, he had 3/2 the number of misses. Plus 1 if you have that. On the back, the number of misses to the number of hits. I didn't resolve that one because it's just the opposite of the 3/2, so that's 2/3. He had 2/3 misses to the number of hits. Plus 1. And then the number of misses to the total number of swings. That would be 10 was the number that described misses. Again, I can kind of come back here and see where I was talking about this one. So that's 10/25. Simplified, it would be divide by 5, 2/5. So if you got that, plus 1. Down here for number 2, what they told you is 1/3 of the students brought their lunch. So here's your middle school. There was a total of 900 kids in the middle school. So I put this into 3 pieces because I know that 1 out of those 3 pieces are the kids that bring their lunch. After I knew this was 900, I could then divide that evenly between the 3 pieces. So then there's 300 here, which tells me that's the part that brings lunch. So that means the other 2/3, or these 2 sections, are the ones that do not bring lunch. So I wrote the fraction 300 over 600. I simplified right away, dividing them both by 100. Now I'm looking at 3 over 6, which simplifies to 1/2, because I divide by 3, divide by 3. So the value of that ratio is 1/2, plus 1 if you got that. So for tonight's homework, if you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 possible points. So please tell me how many points you got out of 18. If you got all 18, it's worth a punch today. If you got between 18 and 14, we'll call that an M. 13 and 10 is a P. And then 9 or less is an E. Make sure your name and number is at the top of your paper and turn that into your classroom teacher, who will give those papers to me. And now you may go watch the second video.